further ado, we'll invite TyRuben Ellingson up to the stage to share his thoughts. Thank you.
Let's see if I can adjust for the height difference. Is that good? You can hear me? I was thinking I might do a rap, but definitely not a forte of mine. I'm going to set my timer. Well, it's a pleasure for me to be here this evening, and I want to say first and foremost, congratulations to all the participants, all the artists, both those who were fortunate enough to win a juried award, and as much for everybody else who participated in the show. It's interesting, when you have creative skills, it's important to kind of figure out what you want to do with them, kind of figure out how you're going to use them in the course of your life. I mean, it's fun when you're young to experiment and dabble with different medias, and everybody gets Play-Doh as a child. I know I did. You can stick it in your brother or sister's hair for a while, and make the occasional scary bug creature to hide in the drawer in the kitchen and those things. But as you mature and start to work with drawing and painting, or I would include even things like poetry or dance, and you start to develop a sense of your own personal creativity, I think it's always, as Heidi was just mentioning, it's important to find other people of like mind who share those same kinds of interests and eventually passions for experimenting and communicating and exploring with creativity. I was trying to think a little bit about what was going on in my mind when I was in high school, and what kinds of things I was thinking about with regards to my future and the life ahead of me, and how my creative passions, my creative interests were going to manifest and unfold. What was I learning from my sketchbooks, and what was I learning from my favorite records, and what was I seeing when I showed my friends at school the drawings that I had done. And I was trying to think about all the options that were available to me when I was just in my formative high school years, and kind of that, of course, led me to think about today and all the different options available to all of you. And I guess I would share a couple of thoughts that maybe you would consider over the course of the next coming weeks through the summer, and just whenever you think about your work, if I could share, as somebody who's been doing work creatively for a long time, a little bit of what I've learned. As some of you may know, I suspect if you read about the show that I'm having with Steve Plattenberg here at the Atwood this week, or if you know about my history with St. Cloud from past articles or some of the talks I've given in the past, I've been working creatively in the movie business for about the last 20 years. I started out at Industrial Light and Magic in 1989, which is George Lucas's special effects company, and of course was responsible for all the early pioneering visual effects for the Star Wars films and Indiana Jones, and eventually led to the work that was done on Jurassic Park, which was a movie that I played a part in. Sometime after working for Lucasfilm, I left the company after about 5 years and ventured out on my own, and was able to work on movies like Hellboy and the Blade movies, and eventually, most notably, I suspect, is Avatar, where I was the vehicle designer, working directly with Jim Cameron on the creation of the big amp suit and all the flying vehicles. And I was thinking, well, what could I share about that place that I ended up on, Pandora, and what could I see as a thread leading back, to St. Cloud? And once I started to give it a little thought, sometimes when you're around something for so many years, you don't really see it because it's such a part of your day-to-day life. You really need to step away from it to see it more clearly. And I think that for me, I, at a very young age, started to build a certain kind of confidence in the value of my personal creative self. And when you're starting out drawing or painting or whatever your chosen avenue of expression is, oftentimes there's a certain little bit of insecurity that comes with it. You know, you want to impress people, and you want to share ideas, and you want to innovate. And so it's a little challenging or a little frightening to go show your work publicly, like everyone's done tonight. You know, there's a certain sense that maybe you won't be accepted, or you'll be judged harshly or something. But that's actually something that still goes on with me to this day. After working for 40 years as a creative, you never really get past certain ideas that are disempowering, you know, certain things that might make you fearful or make you lose some of your confidence. And I think that's because there's something very intimate, internal almost, about creativity and looking into oneself and bringing something up from way inside and sharing it with others. And I think if your career is working successfully, or if you're expressing yourself successfully, you're always going to be involved with those feelings. The question is, how can you best learn to incorporate those feelings of potential downfall, potential failure, into the larger person that you are, and actually turn those into strengths? For me, it's been a process of developing a kind of creative confidence. A sense that the part of me, which is very elusive, that comes up with new ideas, or that is my partner in problem solving when I'm working on a drawing or a design, that part of me is real, and it may not be something I can see inside myself really easily. It may be mysterious. I kind of try to describe it sometimes as, in my mind, there's like this brick wall, and the brick wall is just up to my eyes, you know, just to the line in my eyes, and I can't really see over it. But I know that the earth that I stand on extends underneath to the other side. I know there's other space over there, and I can almost glimpse sometimes that there's something over there that is part of me that I can understand and I can work with it. But by and large, what I've learned is that my creativity dwells on the other side of that wall. And when I have a problem, or I'm approaching a creative opportunity, a new piece of work, or an assignment on a film, I just trust that if I take the questions and I throw them over that wall, that if I'm patient and keep pushing forward as I begin to do the actual technical drawing and sitting at the table with paper and pen, which you can always do even if you don't totally have all your ideas back, that by relaxing and working in that manner, these new ideas come back over the wall to me, and then it's my job to pick them up and identify them and work with those thoughts. That's my own personal way of thinking about it. Yours might look something completely different. You hear about a muse, you know, some dancing, mysterious figure that comes to you and explains creative things to you, or drives you forward. You might be the muse of, you know, it feels almost like love or lust. You know, you have to keep working, and you can't put the work down. So maybe your own internal view or vision of what creativity is would look very different than my wall analogy. My wall analogy is not very romantic now that I'm sharing it. But it sounds like Red Rover, what is that? Kick the can, or, you know, but I'm a low-tech guy at heart, you know. I work with computers, but, you know, I started out with stick and clay, like we all did, and, you know, I don't think that's, you know, I guess I really am kind of a low-tech guy. My muse is probably darkness over there, but at any rate, I would say that what I learned to do was just build a confidence, no matter what the difficult circumstance, or no matter how much I was feeling, you know, like failure pending, or, you know, is this drawing going to work, or am I going to make this painting play out, is that I would just learn to relax and have confidence that this wall, in my case, is going to continue to provide for me. So if there was one little bit of something I would say is that you're just tapping right now into something inside you, or you've done it recently, or maybe you did it when you were 4 or 3. But the idea is you keep playing and keep believing in and keep developing an internal system of confidence and value in your own creative process. Oftentimes, you get into tough situations and you'll feel frustrated, or you'll decide that, it's all just crap, why bother? Maybe you'll have a period in your life when you're distracted from your creative works by jobs or family, or maybe it'll become something that is less, the central focus of your life. But you can always maintain confidence in it, and you can always have this relationship with that part of yourself. And I think for me, that internal meditation, if you will, exercising, if you will, that has always been something that I never lost sight of. And I've always tried to embrace and appreciate that part of myself. And funny enough, the more you do embrace and appreciate it, the easier it is for you to share it with others. And the more it becomes something that is always available and always percolating away just below your consciousness, or in my case, I believe it's below my consciousness, but that's just the way that I kind of tend to look about it. Another thing that I thought I would talk about just a little bit is, having worked in the movie business a long time, oftentimes, people will come up to me and they'll say, "Oh, I love Star Wars, and I love drawing robots. Like, how can I work in your field?" And normally, it's very difficult to break down. It's like if you went to the airline pilot, if you got to fly to see some people, and you went up to the pilot and you said, you saw those dials and knobs in there, and you said, "I love flying in airplanes." Like, how do you do it? What can that guy tell you, really? He can point to a couple of knobs and tell you what they do, but he's not really going to be able to tell you how to fly that jet, and I can't really tell anybody how to end up in the movie business, because it's a very complicated road. But what the pilot could tell you is, don't lose your love of flying. I can't show you how to run the knobs and the dials and the things. You look in that cockpit, it's all confusing, and you want that so bad to fly that jet. But at that moment in time, all he can say is, don't lose your love of flying. And I say the same for what I do, is don't lose your love of creativity and art. Keep it as the most cherished piece of yourself, if you can manage it, and just continue to build this kind of confidence with it. Another thing is, always carry 3x5 notebook, the 3x5 at least postcards. These little postcards you can buy at the store. It's so often in the moment, it's always the least expect. Test today, they don't have a pencil, and they don't have a paper. I was always scared of being that guy, so I always had lots of pencils and paper. But you'd be surprised how many directors will be in a meeting, they'll say, "Oh, write that down," and they start doing this dance of the pen, like, "Where's my pen?" And so if you always have your trusty 3x5 cards, you're Johnny on the spot. And it's impressive to people, believe it or not. And I'm sure it's true with any job. When you have your pen and your pads, you go, "Oh, I have it right here." It's a kind of confidence builder. You can also get these little clips that kind of go on the top. You buy them at Target or something. They're little pinchy clips. And if you put that on there, then you have an instant notebook. And then when you get home and you don't like 4 or 5, you just can pop those out, and they go into the circular file. And then the rest you can shuffle and reorganize. And then what I do in my apartment is I have a Ziploc bag, and I put the note cards in the Ziploc bag, and I call it my mind scrap, for the stuff that I don't quite know what to do with. And over time, you collect 100 or so, then you can go through those and weed them out and move the good ones forward, and then you'll go, "Oh, yeah, I remember this." And it becomes a little diary. I like it because I get scared drawing in those really nice sketchbooks, because I'm always sitting there the whole time thinking that I'll have to cut it out with a razor blade if I don't like the drawing, or it makes me feel like, okay, it's good enough, stop. Like I drew a good eyeball. No reason to draw a head, because the eyeball's great. And then you have a sketchbook with eyeballs. or a car tire. You don't actually drive a whole car. So, but the 3x5s, you can just, you always have awesome sketches with you because you throw the bad ones away. So when you're sitting around and your friends say, what do you got there? You can have like 6 choice note cards at the end, you know. Oh, yeah, I just threw these together a minute ago. You can always move the good ones to the top and just pantomime, like talk on the cell phone, you know, like, yeah, no, yeah, really, no, I'm just drawing. Then when you're done, you know, they'll go, did you just bang that drawing out? Yeah, it's right here. So, and also, when you work, I don't think there's any job you'll ever have where you're not going to have to communicate with somebody, you know, and not be prepared, and that's my little safeguard. So that's my practical knowledge. That's a little easier than the brick wall that's eye level. And then I think the last thing I'd like to leave you with on this evening is something I call the 7-year plan. I don't know how exactly I came upon it, but I know it started when I was probably around 14 or 15. And I started to play this game where I would say, if I had a time machine that could bring Ty Ellingson from 7 years ahead back to me today, and if I walked in the door as the guy who I'll be in 7 years, would I be impressed by that guy? And I don't know why that particular model works for me, but I've used it my entire career. When I start to think about the easy way out on a certain thing, or I start to think that maybe my passion for films has died, or when I start to think that it's too much work to stay up late and do that extra drawing of a robot for the next day, I think, but the guy from 7 years from now, that's what he would have done. Like, he would have already done all that cool ass shit. So when he came back, I would be going, this is the guy I want to be in 7 years. And I think if you can develop this kind of future vision of yourself creatively, a vision of the value that you see in yourself today amplified over time, it starts to actually manifest itself in some strange way and is more likely to become reality. It's an idea of intention. If you don't look, you don't find. If you don't think in an optimistic, positive way about your creative abilities, they tend to lose some of their juice, at least from my perspective. So, in closing, I wish you all a good 7-year plan, and congratulations to all of you, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you.